Well, greetings. My name is Mark Schoepp, and my wife Becky and I work with NeoLife, Health and Wellness Company. And we like to take this opportunity to do a little quick introduction and sort of make a case for NeoLife nutritional supplements. We've been with the company for 27 years now. They've been around for 60. My dad introduced us to them way back when my wife first had cancer back in '92, and she's had 3 rounds since then, and lots of fallout from the classic treatments for cancer, chronic heart failure and other things. But she's stable and doing well, and we think this long out, 27 years out, because of nutritional boost from NeoLife. We think there's really 3 things. Prayer, a lot of prayer support. She changed lifestyle, and she's doing NeoLife strongly, and as my dad did as well, same 3 things. So just a quick word, we're going to work you through a PowerPoint presentation here. Shouldn't be long. Just want to make the case. I'm going to get to sharing my slide here in just a second, and to kind of walk you through this thing. You'll still see me upper corner, but want to walk you through this whole thing. NeoLife. So it's really about health and wellness. That's really what they're about, and we've seen that in spades with them for the years we've been with them. The one thing that's different about NeoLife is they're the first company, and really not many others do this well, is they focus on cellular health. Health at the cellular level. What do the cells need to be healthy? So we got 75 trillion cells in our body, give or take. And of course, we're replacing them all on average about every 7 years. It depends on what part of the body. Stomach gets replaced more often, intestines, etc. is very caustic, but heart cells actually not as often, strikingly so. So I'm 65. I'm working on 8th time of replacing all my cells, which means I got to make 10 trillion new cells per year. That's 300 million new cells every day, folks, that we have to make. And of course, kids that are growing need to make way more. Bottom line is, when we make our cells, depending on the food that we put in and the nutrition that we're giving our body, we're either making good hard clay bricks or we're making cardboard bricks, thinking at a cellular level. So that's the option, folks. And we prefer to make good bricks when we can. And that means the body has to get good amounts and quality amounts of these items. And we talk about the chain of life in NeoLife: carbs, lipids and sterols, protein, minerals, vitamins, and related food factors, and enzymes. There's really only a list of it's less than 100 different things that our body needs, but it does need them. The meds that we're taking these days, they tamp down symptoms, but they're not going to give the body what it needs to fight and to build and to be strong. So 7 essential nutrients, 7 major classes, they call them. I'm going to back up one. So carbs, fats, dietary fiber, minerals, proteins, vitamins, and of course water is critical. And then the macronutrients, the things that we need the most of, are the carbs, the lipids, and the proteins. And inside each of those, now those are the energy forms, as it says. The calories is what we call them. Calories are not bad. They're energy that we need in the cell. Each cell has to produce energy to do the thing it's supposed to do, contract muscles or see or whatever. And each of those categories, carbs, lipids, and proteins, have some very important nutrients in them. The challenge is we have to get the nutrients at a level that balances out the number of carbs we get, and that's the challenge we have. We do workshops about that all the time. And then, of course, micronutrients, some things on a very smaller level, some things very small. So we can see we got water-soluble vitamins, we got fat-soluble vitamins, we got macrominerals, and then trace elements, trace things like selenium that we don't need very much of, but if it's not there, it's a problem. And again, only less than 100 items. And NeoLife understands all of that. And so the question is, are we getting what we need? And it doesn't take long to understand that in this country, and really if we export our way of living all around the world, the health is being compromised. And by next year, the World Health Organization, CDC, has been saying this for a long time, 3 out of 4 deaths will be caused by heart disease, cancer, and diabetes. So 3 out of 4 are going to be gone because of those things. And the challenge is a majority of those deaths are preventable. There's things we're doing or not doing that make a difference and can eliminate a lot of deaths and a lot of disease. This is what we're talking about. In the Lancet, back on April 3rd of this year, they talked about, I'm just going to get some highlights up here. They talked about things that we are not eating that is killing us. We typically think of well, all the bad food's what's killing us. Well, it's not good for us, certainly, but turns out that the things we don't eat are critical. So if you look on the left side there, high sodium, go down high trans fat, high processed meat. Everything else says low. There's not enough of these things, and that's what's killing us. So in the top 10, of the top 10, 7 of the top 10 are not enough of them. Whole grains, fruits, nuts and seeds, omega-3, salmon oil, vegetables, fiber, legumes. All those things are critical, and we just aren't getting them enough. Our lifestyle's against us, working against us. The food supply that we have is working against us. NeoLife says, we want to help you fill in the gaps. And that's what we do with my wife as well. And especially if you're compromised in health like my wife, you definitely need some help in getting enough. So research says vitamins may help. Well, guess what? We're aware that research also says vitamins don't do a darn thing. We know there's research that says that, and so that's the challenge. Here's our perspective on that. The research that shows vitamins don't do a thing are using vitamins that are poorly made, and there's plenty out there, folks. We know that. So if they're studying vitamins that aren't very well made, they're not going to do much. And so people say, well, the vitamins don't do anything, and they don't take vitamins to their detriment. If they study well-made vitamins, and NeoLife is certainly at the top of that list, then studies, we can point you to lots of studies that show vitamins do tremendous things. Then it's a sort of a catch-22. Then people say, well, vitamins work. I'll buy the cheap stuff. Well, the trouble is the cheap stuff doesn't work. And so that's the challenge with NeoLife. So you got to finally trust somebody if you're going to supplement. And folks, at least 60 to 70% of the people in this country are putting something down their throats that is supplement-oriented. But you can see from these names, GNC, Target, Walmart, all kind of Vitamin Shop, they're not careful enough with what they provide, and you're taking a risk. Bottom line. And NeoLife's been around 60 years. All these things are true on NeoLife. Whoops, I got to back up. Oh, it didn't go far enough. So scientific health solutions since 58. Pharmaceutical license, don't have to have that, but we say we want to do that because that affects the quality. 50 countries around the world, and we meet all of those guidelines. Industry pioneer, we get invited, unlike any other nutritional company, to lots of science communities, nutritional science communities and food science communities, etc., because we do the science. We're pioneers in that and have been for years. And it makes a difference. So we talk about based in nature, backed by science. And here's the advisory board. We've met almost all of these folks down at the bottom. They come to our conferences. They are active. They have been with NeoLife a long time, 30 and 40 years, some of them. And we know that it works. And Arthur First was the first one that started that. My wife likes him a lot because he was the guy that started the most effective way to treat cancer in the chemo, they call it cocktail, multiple chemos at one time. But he left that because he really wanted to focus more on the cure. He had found out that fruits and vegetables would fix the cancer in rats, and nobody else wanted to go down that road. So he said, I got to find a company. He found NeoLife and said, let's work together. And the science board drives the products in NeoLife, not the marketing board. So it's not fads. It's what the science says works. And here's places that we presented, strategic partners all around the world. NeoLife is widely and strongly recognized for their strength in this field. So natural versus whole food. Ours is whole food. Lots of natural things that were never meant to be eaten. And there's supplements out there that are full of this natural stuff. Somebody gets on a bandwagon for something and the market says there's a trend. People jump on the trend. NeoLife says, no, we're going to give you a whole food sourced because that's what our bodies have historically taken and need, and we're going to give you those in concentrated form. And GMO-free as well. We're critical about that, and we test. We can test. In fact, they invent a lot of new ways of doing things so they can be as safe as possible and as clean as possible. So, wide range of products. Talk to us. We'll be happy to talk more about what they have, but excellent products that we stand behind and the company stands behind as well, and we hope you give them a shot. Check us out. That's the way to get a hold of Becky by email, me by email, and that's our webpage, and we'd love to connect with you. And I'm going to get out of here and stop the sharing and say a goodbye, and we'll connect again. Contact us if you have any questions. All right. Thank you.